It should be.
Yeah, it's,
Unfortunately, we're not in the budget.
yeah, we're good to go.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. I believe we have a quorum. Is that true?
Looks like it.
Here we got a quorum.
I believe we do.
All right, first order on the agenda is additions and corrections to agenda. I think the agenda is okay. You guys all right?
Yes.
Minutes from last time, that was a long time ago. I've slept since then with the liquid paper thing. Motion to accept. Vote.
I'll abstain because I wasn't here.
Tactical, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So, all right, that carries. So it's time to go to the budget. And traditionally, when we've done this, we've asked Karen to walk us through the budget. And I think that makes some sense. So would you,
Yeah.
oh, we're ready to text, sorry.
Right, everybody got there. Does anybody want at least a summary sheet?
Yeah.
How many copies do I need to make?
I'm okay.
I just looked at it and
I'm looking at stuff online, so I have to print more than I would like to admit.
I think it's a generational thing.
It is a generation.
especially if you're looking at it on your phone.
I can't. That's not,
They can do it.
my phone, I just can't. It's so small.
They can do it. Their brains are different.
Connected to in case anybody else needs one.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, Miss Karen.
Okay, so, we will sort of go, we will briefly go down through, but we'll really probably only talk about the items that have really changed in the amounts, unless anybody has anything specifically that they want to talk about them, because I think everybody here, I don't know, Bruce, you haven't been through a budget cycle yet.
I have not.
I thought you were here, Lester. What,
So,
I miscalculated some numbers in your car.
you are.
On the first.
Anyways, if there's anything that we go down through that anybody wants more information, just let me know. So under the salaries is actually only a portion of my salary and a portion of Derek's salary. And it is a static amount. The town decided that, or, the select board, the utility board decided that long ago that, it would just have static. Social Security, that amount actually has gone up, and the reason that has gone up is because we now have the, what is it called, that?
Family medical leave.
Yeah, the family medical leave, which is 1.5% that has to be added, so
$52, no problem.
that's why that. Employee benefits, that has gone up, that is a percentage of mine and a percentage of Derek's. And that's, health insurance went up by 9% this year. I can't remember the other ones went up, so that's basically that. Contract operations, that is what we paid all of them, and Annalise did the math on what they needed, so that they weren't losing any money. It's $200 increase. I'm not worried about that. Insurance, this is our property and casualty and vehicle insurance. That's static to last year. Supplies, this supply amount is actually for mostly office supplies, not supplies that are up at Battle Avenue. Sometimes this one gets low. This also does include postage. Sometimes this becomes low because, in all honesty, I order paper, I put it to the town's office paper account, so every once in a while I'll just go in and, charge a case or two to water.
You were understood. That's okay.
Services. This service account is a portion of it we pay for our we have our auditor gets paid out of here. We have the regulatory commission fees that are paid out of here. We have our software that we use for billing that gets paid out of here. if we have any legal that we need, that gets paid out of here. And we took that up because of the auditor, the audit has been going up, and the reason, majority of the reason the audit's been going up is because the audits require more information every year, and it takes the auditors actually longer to do.
It's fun. It's not that much.
Power. We are keeping that static to last year. We have had some, we were in contract with Constellation New Energy. Those expired. And we did not renew. And the reason we didn't renew is because the amount per kilowatt was a higher amount than what they are actually charging us on a monthly basis, because I get billed directly from Constellation New Energy. So we're just gonna hold on to that for a while. If I entered into a contract, we'd be paying more per kilowatt than what they're giving us now. We are running the risk.
For now,
Yes, we are running the risk that it'll,
Yeah.
that it will go up.
understand. But we're on expense this year too.
Yes.
Good.
Vehicle operation, we are extremely lucky that we have the three Clark men. In all honesty, I mean, they do all of the vehicle maintenance themselves. They change the oil themselves. They, you know,
Are they driving their personal vehicles a lot?
they do.
As in Derek, is that a liability, do you think, to use the vehicles so much?
They don't work for us. They
No,
work
they
for
work for us.
So,
So those are your vehicles on your insurance?
No,
No, they're their personal vehicles, their own insurance. They have their own insurance for their own personal
So if they're
vehicles.
working for you, I guess I don't care.
But we prefer they use the town vehicle because we have to pay the mileage, but I will tell you, they seldom claim mileage.
I know.
I
Those guys,
understand.
they're
And
just too.
they are using the town
They
vehicles
use it,
more.
yeah.
Because, for a
But
while,
that's, yeah.
they weren't putting any gas in.
But
it.
I was asking the liability question.
Not a liability.
No liability.
Not a liability.
That's why I'm-
so if they crash it, it's on their insurance, stuff
I
like that.
appreciate them doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Those are good guys. They are.
Really good.
They are.
Normally, we wouldn't want three from the same family, full disclosure, but Adam is a hard ass and he keeps them in line, so it works out pretty well. The good kids too. Keep the good people.
They are.
Really. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm.
The owl hears everything. You must
They're good
expect.
people.
Let's rewind. Those are good guys.
They are very good people, all of them. Yeah.
Water treatment chemicals. We had last year, you know, if you notice, last year we actually went over, some of that has to do with the timing of when we buy the chemicals. This year, you'll notice that we're actually, you know, under in our fiscal years ending the end of, so we sort of went through the calculations when, because Annalise and Adam and Derek and I all met. And we went through, you know, just to double checking on pricing and everything, and we'll be good at the 10 grand.
And that varies according to the production.
It does. It varies depending on how much we pump. It varies on the timing of when we got our last delivery the year before. That type of thing.
Okay. Is that why we produce from Battle Avenue?
No. It's more expensive to use Battle Avenue than.
Surface water.
Yeah.
depending on what-
Yeah, so if we had the choice, we would use that
But
less,
there's some
but we use
other
it more
things in the
during
yes.
water drought times. Yeah.
Muy good. Thank you.
Supplies and equipment. And this is the one that you will see an increase. We need to, typically, we have put $5,000 towards new meters. Now most of our meters are what, the 10 or 11 year age, I think. And on the meters are our revenue, so they may go bad. If they're going bad, they tend to go slow. So we need to make sure that that we have good meters.
But none of the customers say that.
No, they don't complain.
They don't.
No, they say it's only 2,000.
So we did get we got a quote from Thai Sales. And this is, I mean, this is not for a lot of meters. This is for 50 meters, actually. So what we'll do is, you know, we'll sort of budget out probably 50 meters every year. That's one, I think that's a good number because
Yeah. 'cause we haven't
it's not, we
installed.
have to install it as well. So it's a number that they can get installed.
How many do we have?
We have 380 customers more or less.
Okay, all right, so this is everybody's house, plus the ones you went down.
And are the sewer meters where people have their well and town sewer?
They have to buy their own.
Okay.
They buy their own because they're getting a break. I mean, so, yeah. If they don't want to pay the water on what is not going into the system, they've got to put their own meter in. They have to have their plumber do it, and then Adam has to go, just double check and make sure that this is just connected to the outdoor spigot.
Understand? Yes, thank you.
Service and repairs. We are leaving this alone and knock on wood. We have a line break. This could completely, or this is where a line break would go on some other things. So far, we've been pretty well. So we were gonna leave that alone. If we have a major catastrophe, obviously we'll need to come back to the utility board and the select board to go into our water surplus. And the last two are the interest and principals on our bonds, existing bonds. That's what we borrowed. Those payments are what they are.
And the payments are flat, so the principal payments going up because the demand on this stuff was going down. Right?
We
I think the
basically
principal
have,
goes up a little bit as the interest
The
drops.
principal,
Correct.
it's the
Yes.
principal
Yes.
payment.
yes,
not a fixed
principal,
payment.
right, because we have sort of a fixed payment amount. So as the total principal balance gets less, the interest amount is.
So let's tie that to depreciation. You're depreciating 59,000. You'd
Mhm.
like to do 100. That's public sector, and we get to decide what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
We start to see relief in 27, maybe.
Mhm. The other thing is that we, under these revenues, and the select board did approve, I had emailed all of you to move
1.5.
forward with the 1.5% rate. Tell you the truth, I had kind of put these numbers based upon this past year's revenues.
Mhm.
So, we can expect, I think it's another $10,000 in revenues that we'll get, so we may actually have a, depreciation.
But we don't know. All it takes is
Right.
one extra pipe and we're
Yeah.
done.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't think we want to do I don't think we want to go through a rate increase at this point in time because yes, we will be having some bonds that will retire, granted. We also have infrastructure work that's going to come up,
Right.
but
It's good
Right.
timing, I mean, really.
Yeah.
Because the expenses of any of the work that's coming forward won't happen before this happens, so it's worked
So
out really well.
this is a reprint of what's happened in the past several years, and it's always been dead on. Karen's really good at it. I'm not really feeling like we need to do a lot of discussion. Is it okay to get a motion to pass?
I have a question. So the supplies and equipment, that $18,000 increase, is that solely for new meters or are there other things? as well?
It's most of the meters.
it's mostly the meters.
Yeah.
Well,
And all of those thing sheets were emailed to you.
okay,
Yeah, the new meter,
No, it's fine.
and,
But it was basically the meters.
$2,000.
my other question is that, last year, we had agreed that we were gonna ask the town and they agreed to do a PFAS test every year instead of every 4 years. So where does the PFAS testing, under what column is that?
That
fall?
comes under water treatment chemicals. Water treatment chemicals is chemicals and testing. It
Okay.
sounds weird, but.
So but there's no increase, even though we're doing it every year now instead of every 3 years?
The money was put in last year to do it.
It's not really material.
It was in there.
He's doing it, just so you know, too, he's taking the samples next week.
Okay.
And then there are new requirements to do it more often, but we have sufficient budget to do the requirements. We will have to do them more frequently at more places coming up in the future, just so you know.
Motion to approve,
Want to approve?
second,
Second.
discussion. Get it, vote. It's unanimous, Karen? The next item on the agenda, I'll tell a story. It sounds like it's a messaging story more than a real one, but toward the end of October, I started hearing from the students that the ponds were going dry and that Adam was really worried about it. And I looked at the rain data and we all know what's going on. And funny enough, about 2 weeks later, I get a request from Roberta on the select board, basically parroting the same thing. And I lobbied pretty hard not to run around and yell wolf yet, because we would rather wait to do that in the summer when the summer people are here and don't want to desensitize people. But at the end of the day, we're not recharging an aquifer there, we're catching rainfall runoff, and you can already see these things come up. So my question to Karen initially was, if we know this stuff is going down and we're worried about it, why did we produce 30% of our water in November? I don't really need an answer for that, but I want kind of to understand, maybe going into next fall, that we'll be paying a little bit more attention to it. October's our busiest month, right? September, October, and we get rain in September, which we didn't get this year.
Right.
So there's that request that just sits there, but then Karen tells me that Adam's not really that concerned. And so suddenly then we got a messaging thing, we should probably be careful what we tell students sometimes.
I think it was more of a, yeah, maybe just an observation.
Oh, and it's juicy, and people love to play with stories here, but.
Yeah, well, pretty much everywhere.
I was never really worried about
Yeah.
it. If we're not worried about it, then I don't mind the 30% production, but if we were producing 30%, we are worried about it, that seems inconsistent.
Well, and of course, the other thing, and maybe Annalise can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, if the ponds are going down, my guess would be is that also well levels are going
Right, so
down.
the
And we
reason,
need to be careful about where our well levels are.
right,
So
you don't want to
Spring
build.
Street, Spring Streets.
Spring
tricky.
Street was at a point where we had to back it off, because we always try to run Spring Street up as much as we can, because it's the most economical well to operate. And then, the British Canal well as well, that's extremely economical to operate, but both of those, the levels were getting down. And because of that.
So then we're using the
Then we're
ponds
using
as
the
in-
ponds, and we weren't having any issues over there. We had no problems with pulling water out of the ground. Because there is still water coming off the hill.
Horizontal pump was working.
Yeah, perfectly.
So it
Yeah,
wasn't just rainwater.
it's just some groundwater as well, but it is influenced highly by rainwater. So obviously it was lower than
And Josh,
typical.
you live there, but you've noticed in the last month, 3-4 weeks, I've been going by the water, nothing was coming in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
It's
I.
definitely been.
Right, come up.
It's coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, I get the point. It is a visual, a very telling visual of what, you
But
know,
let's-
drought conditions can
Let's
do.
watch.
We
how
weren't
we talk.
anywhere
Let's
near.
watch how we talk.
Yeah, I will talk to
People were
the
picking up on it.
folks.
I love that.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit of Dan too. It was a team training.
Who knows? Yeah, Dan's got some that second.
Yeah, so I'll take care of it.
Let's leave that at that. I'm happy.
I was gonna say, I actually was up there, I heard the rumor like the day after I was up there touring the place and talking about it. No, because he said, no, I don't have any problems with the water levels at all, and then the next day I'm hearing this, I'm like, I
Okay.
literally heard that. So I called Annalise and said like, what's going
Okay,
on?
that's
with this?
where we're at.
Right.
So-
We would
So, yeah.
communicate to you folks if we had a crisis of some sort or some concerns, just because I would have.
That's nice. I
implemented
appreciate it. But the
conservation.
reality when the phone starts ringing ain't that.
Oh, no, I understand. I'm just making sure you know that. We would have implemented
Oh, I do.
conservation.
Right.
Yeah, we just
I
didn't
have
feel
great faith in
necessary
you,
with
and I
the
have-
time, the year or two with Maine Maritime Academy being slower, it just didn't,
I have great
or the,
faith in the
I
guy.
mean, the summer people being gone, I think it's Maine Maritime.
And some of them stayed longer this year too, because the weather was nice.
It was beautiful.
All right, I have another business item that I'd just like to tell you I'm gonna do. We've been talking about PFAS. And we have identified the campus is a pretty good source of PFAS into the sewer system, and we have sent letters into the main mail system. And I don't know that those letters get where they need to go, but if you think about the biggest point source in town is probably Curtis Hall.
How did we determine
We just pulled it out of our,
the proverbial?
yes, but I think that's probably true. But wait, here's where I'm going. is that I'm gonna, rather than go to the Muckety Mucks and Levitt, I'm gonna send a letter to the Student Government Association and ask them to do an internal awareness campaign. And I don't want to get anybody in trouble with the people over there, because there's some contests going on, but I'm pretty sure they'll pick up and rise to it. So just a nice friendly letter, say, hey, this is out there, here's what's going on, you know, would you please engage? And I think they will.
Student services have done that for me before. I've reached out to them and I did write a letter about, wipes and different products and
Oh,
what.
I know exactly where I'm gonna go, but I'm not gonna say it here on record, you know. Try to blow it out. Just one thing. Okay, so that's, I'm gonna do that unless anybody has an objection, that's okay.
I don't have an objection, I just have another PFAS.
Let's finish this one. You guys okay with that? You okay with that?
Yeah.
And I won't do it in the dark, I won't custom.
So if you read the minutes from last June, which I did this morning, I realized, oh my gosh, we haven't reported back about our meeting with the golf club regarding PFAS.
Would you please?
So we met with, it was in June, July, I can't remember.
But I was there.
It references we were about to have the meeting, at the minute, the June meeting, so it must have been the next week.
Yeah.
So we met with Dick Taylor, the president of the club, we met with Noah Tapley, we met with Jeff Stallman, who's on the Greens Committee. I think that was it. And they had written, it turns out it was Noah who wrote it, because I asked who wrote this letter. They wrote a mea culpa letter, essentially, saying that they were sorry that PFAS was still applied, herbicides with PFAS were still applied to the golf course throughout 2023, including later.
I need one for the minute, so.
Sure.
As late as October 16th, they were applying to Trino to all the chemical, all the herbicides that have PFAS in them are used on the
So what are they
tea
doing?
boxes and the.
What are they doing now?
So, anyway, just get there.
Trying to not have to correspond.
And then, so last year, they found replacements for those chemicals, which we're all very happy for, because I can't imagine a more serious issue confronting our utility board than having gallons of PFAS laden product applied directly onto our aquifer, which has been going on for a number of years. And I'm also curious if we have their applications on file somewhere from 2019, 2018, 2017. So we can see how far back.
We've been testing since then, so I don't, okay, fine, great. The thing that came out of that meeting that's most important to me is what they were doing with their stock. With their
Oh,
stock.
what they were gonna do with the leftover stuff.
So what did they say?
They said they were gonna check.
They had already started shipping somehow. They passing that stuff. So I think it's not.
Okay, so this brings us to this fall, and it's October, when they started to enlarge the pond. And they were digging extensively, as we've all seen, and that pond is bracketed on three sides by the second green, the men's tee, and the women's tee, where all these PFAS were applied over years. That brackets the pond. So I called Jeff Stallman, who's on the Greens Committee, and I said, do you have any concerns about the dirt that you're digging up there might be contaminated? And he said, no, I have no concerns whatsoever. I said, so you are working on the assumption that this dirt is fine, but it's not contaminated? He said, yes. I said, what's happening to this dirt? He said, the contractor's taking some of it to his house. They're spreading most of it on the greens or on the fairway around the pond. And they're taking some of it to the town transfer station. And I said, why are you not concerned that this dirt is contaminated? And he said, because I was told that we haven't used any PFAS on the course in over 6 years. Yet he was at this meeting last summer where it's documented that they were using him in 2023.
So independently, after you called me, I called them up and suggested they might want to do some testing. But it was a suggestion, it wasn't a demand.
So I asked him why he thought that that it wouldn't be contaminated. I said, first of all, they call it forever chemical because even if it were not applied in the last 6 years, it would still be there, right? And also he told me that Sean had told him that they hadn't been used in 6 years on the golf course. Sean, what?
I don't know.
That's what he told me. So, to me, so in October of 2024, there was a select board work session where there were testing on Battle Avenue, where they found a PFOA in a higher concentration that's allowed by the EPA for drinking water. So we have our drinking water ponds here. We have
To contaminate the first contaminated sample
yes, and so we got our,
before the EPA things read now.
no, it was after that, but so we have the fire department potential field here. We have water that we're not allowed to drink because it's got too much PFAS in it, and then we got a drinking water pond approximately 500 feet away. To me, that's a little worrisome. So I went to that meeting and I asked the engineer who did the testing. He was trying to figure out why there might be.
Oh, you're
PFAS.
talking about the test holes that they drilled.
Yeah, the 5 test wells, and one of those had PFAS or PFOA specific in violation of the EPA rules, and he was struggling to find where it might have come from. He said maybe there was a dump up in the Wiggly Woods at some point. Maybe Deborah Pulliam was washing her Teflon pans out in the field. I said, are you aware that the golf club, who's the largest landowner in the source water protection zone, has been applying gallons of PFAS onto the golf course in the last 5 years? And he said, no. I said, that might be something you might want to look into. I asked the town, asked Gordon, who was there, I said, maybe you should look into that since the dirt's being taken out to the transfer station. He said, well, it's private property, it's not my issue. And then this last select board meeting, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, somebody else asked, Jessica Zeal asked about the dirt and they were saying they were going to test because of the PFAS on the fire department field, that they were going to do some more PFAS testing, which I think is smart. And somebody else asked the board whether they thought they should test the dirt golf club. And they said, we have no reason to, which was baffling to me. So to me, I think that this whole golf club thing is a potential public health issue. And for whatever reason, the Patriot won't write a single word about it, not despite having discussed at length in several meetings. It's the best kept secret in town. And if I were a risk averse person and concerned about PFAS, I would consider not drinking the water until at least we've had this next round of testing.
Which is next week.
Correct, but I mean, we have been testing and not found it in the,
So we got testing.
but we'll be doing more testing on a regular basis because we're gonna be required to by EPA.
So my question is, don't we as a board have an obligation to the public here to let them know that this
You are
carcinogenic chemical-
drawing conclusions from your point of view. And to do some of those things, sometimes you get excited, and I think some of that would be a little bit irresponsible.
Why?
Because we put people in panic and we'll have to spend lots of money that we don't have and don't want to hear that.
Well, I feel like we're at risk of being negligent for not telling the public that had happened. Isn't that part of our job?
I don't know that your version of what happened is what happened, so we had to want to look at it.
you don't believe that they were applying to.
I know that you like to inflate things and make them sound very, very big, and then we're concerned about gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons.
Well, we have the amount,
There's product, but
We have the-
it's not 100% PFAS.
okay, but we have the amount.
Of what we talk
All
about.
right, well, whatever the amount, we have the amounts.
Derek, what do you think?
Well, I was just gonna say, so the final report from CB Mahar says basin groundwater elevation surveys are conducted at the site in June and September 2024. Overburdened groundwater at the site and vicinity has been calculated to flow generally south, therefore properties of the site vicinity located to the north are hydraulically up gradient, properties to the south are hydraulically down gradient, properties to the west and east are hydraulically cross gradient relative to the overburdened groundwater flow direction calculated at the site and vicinity. This is the Battle Ave site. Therefore, overburdened groundwater from the proposed fire station site does not flow towards the town's water supply. Further, if the source of the impacted groundwater at MW3 did not originate from the site, then it is inferred to have originated from properties located to the north. Then it said, SME further concludes that the source of PFAS impacted overburdened groundwater at the site did not originate from the town's golf course property due to its distance, hydraulically cross gradient to down gradient location from the site. Additionally, potential PFAS impacted soil into a groundwater at the town's golf course property would not migrate to the Battle Avenue ponds, one of the town's water source supplies, for the same reason stated above.
Is that an addendum to their original report?
Yes, because they went back and looked at it based on comments made at that, and then they looked at the maps to consider whether or not it was.
Is that been made public?
Yeah, I mentioned it at one of the last meetings that Peter Garrett looked at it and both CB and Mahar since then. I think that was at that meeting. So,
Can we get a copy of that?
sure.
So let's do that. Let's get a copy of that to Josh and look at the test results on the water system.
And the board is just saying, no, they're talking about actually putting a warrant article in to see if the people in town want to pay for investigating where that source was in one of the test
The
wells.
select board,
Right, yep.
and since it's not in the source water protection area, it's really not relevant to
Wait, what's not?
where those test wells are.
No, it's right in the middle of it.
They are,
Okay,
even though they've talked about revising those, Peter Garrett's.
so,
currently looking at that,
as an
but-
advisory board, we're being told that the select board is already thinking about putting up a warrant.
To do that testing to find out where the source of that PFAS on the Battle Ave site actually came from. Cause they're saying it could be from landscaping activity on other properties, it could be from soil pulled in for some reason.
So if it's a warrant, it goes to the town.
Yes, for it, I think the cost is somewhere around 18,000 for the total, or something like that. off the
If it's
top
a
of my head.
warrant, it's going to the town, it will be public.
So just to follow up, so when you asked the golf club if they might want to test their soil, what did they say?
I didn't really get a response. I was helping out, being kind of an advisor. It's not for me to tell them what to do, and I wasn't gonna tell them what to do, but in terms of viability for them, I think that, you know, they might wanna have a thought about testing this stuff, and I don't know.
I think that Sean had that same, because Gus called Sean the day after the select board meeting where Gus was, saying that he wanted the select board to have that tested. And he ended up talking to Sean, and Sean said, we have no ordinance where the town can require the golf club to test that.
And
I mean,
if
there
it's
is not.
going
So,
to the, if
you know,
it's
you-
going to the dump, that's our land, but it's not water. If it's going to this guy's private property, it's not our water system. Doesn't mean it's a smart and good thing to do, but I kind of feel
But if
like.
it's going to our land, if it's going to the transfer station,
I don't know how much of it actually went there. Do you, I don't think.
I have no
don't-
idea why they would bring that soil
And I get
there,
that,
though.
but it's not really.
I think
Right.
that, I know that Bill Torlis had, I think when he didn't have trucks, he wanted to take it to the transfer station, and I know that Henry had originally told him, I don't have room out there. And
So we don't really know.
I don't know if anything really did end up going out there, or Henry may have said, if you get real stuck and need to take a couple loads, that may have happened, but
Can you find out? Because the other thing we could do
Yeah.
is we could
I can see if I can find Henry today. It's his last day.
But the other thing,
Are
the
we
other
talking soil from the hole, the pond that they?
Yes.
I haven't seen anything growing out there, like not like a pile of dirt
No,
or anything like
well,
that.
let's check, and if it's there's a pile of dirt from, we can ask Doris to take it up the road with an upstart.
Well, but how does the utility board doesn't have any say over
I
that?
said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I mean, because that's
understand.
going to a
That's
property
outside-
that's not
that's
even,
outside.
right, outside of the utility board's jurisdiction.
Yeah, cause I mean. Yeah, I would have never authorized it anyways. I would have
Well,
been
let's-
like, why do I don't want dirt? You know.
So let's find out, let's find out. what
Bring
really
things
happened.
in and bring things out.
Let's find out. what really happened.
One more thing I just wanna say is, if they're denying that they, this stuff, we. They're saying we haven't used it in 6 years,
I don't think there's somebody
I
somebody's getting.
I think that's worrisome, and we need to figure that out.
So we'll have a chance when they come back with their next application.
And we'll take a good thorough review of it.
But
Because I think we
This
all
is-
agree, we don't want.
this is
that.
what happens in town is everybody starts talking and suddenly got 6th grade science class and talking about stuff that they're just making up. I don't know the truth.
I will
'Cause I was
say,
there when you did that. They are.
Yeah, they're aware,
They are.
we are
they
gonna
were
be-
sorry.
And I
Apologize.
can't believe that they were.
I'm wondering if they have had advice of counsel saying we should not admit this.
So let's not make assumptions, and if you wanna ask them, but
Wonder.
I can't believe that. Yeah, it just doesn't measure, it doesn't make sense. to me. All right, so I will talk to the students and see what they wanna do, and if that doesn't get all beat into it, because it's not really messaging, I'm just asking them to do it. You guys all right?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we're going with, all right. What's that?
Take a feedback.
See you.
So who-
Well, that was great.
Motion to adjourn.
We'll see. We'll see.
Start having a problem with that
Why?
next couple of days. There will be no